It makes it more present, right? If we live it in the moment we speak about it. So for me, it's self-mastery is always that fine balance between where can I actually influence, control, and create, and where do I have to surrender and flow. And I think that's a beautiful topic to discuss today together with the ancient Egyptian teachings that you both bring. So just for everybody like joining us or watching us later in a replay, would you beautiful ladies introduce yourself and your work a little bit? So we are not completely jumping like in medias res, even though that's like what we're supposed to do right now.
Yes, with pleasure. Well, my name is Francis. I'm based in the Netherlands at the moment. And so it's such an interesting question, what I do, as it keeps on evolving. But one of the things that is very, very alive for me right now, and of course, because of this topic as well, is diving into the mysteries of Egypt and especially the teachings of ancient Egypt. Actually, since my travel there the beginning of this year, where me and Luisa met as well. And so that's really opened up many, many, many things and portals for me since then. And we've been creating a course and a retreat. So that's one of the main things I've been working, if we speak about work. And besides that, in physical form, I give mentorships for one-on-one people that want to work one-on-one, and therapeutic tantric bodywork sessions as well. So that's my main working subject at the moment. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, welcome.
It's nice to have you here. And you're
so happy.
Gentle healing energy.
Thank you. Really happy to be here. Dive in. Yes.
So yeah, I like Francis. I always find it a really interesting question. What is it that you do? And somebody asked me this the other day, and I burst out laughing really loudly because simply because it's so difficult sometimes to quantify everything that we do in a succinct sentence, because it always feels so much and so deep, and but to try, I would say something fairly similar to Francis, that right now the work for me very much is around bringing forward the energetic teachings of ancient Egypt, bringing the essence of ancient Egypt into the healing work that I do. So as Francis, we've worked in different healing modalities for a number of years, gaining lots of knowledge as we move along, and experience that then informs those healing sessions look. So I work actively as a healing practitioner, co-creating a conducive space for healing to happen, is how I like to think about it. There's, for me, energy healing has been the most fundamental aspect of that, although more and more I think my work is now becoming multi-layered. The energetics, the sort of foundational energetics. There's the recognition of how healing talking can be, and how sometimes we really need to bring things into the conscious space through conversation. So I think conversations like this can be absolutely as healing as any other modality, so it's ever evolving, the work that I do. And I think I also work with parents and teenagers in a mentoring setting to support bridging the gap between those relationships at that stage in the parent-child dynamic. And now with Francis, moving into more work with ancient Egyptian energies and bringing that forward in the form of retreat and course that we've worked on together. So yeah, I think that kind of summarizes what I do, the ever evolving versions of what we do.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Louisa. And it's so beautiful because I've been in your container before, so it's like, yeah, I don't like the question, what do you do? Actually, like every time I get it, I'm like, oh, what should I share? And I always try to take out of my package what applies to the person. And if it's in general, it's like, okay, should I share my whole life now? Like, what am I doing? I'm living, right? I'm expressing my truth and like doing the best to share my gifts. So I hear you with that. And one of your beautiful gifts is sharing the wisdom of these beautiful magical lands. So that's absolutely gorgeous, I would say. And yeah, I'm excited to see what wants to come through in this setting now, in this meeting, and how we are like weaving together the conversation, the truth speaking, and revealing what wants to come through. So super excited for this.
Yeah, so today, you know, for me, these conversations and anything like this, there's usually some kind of download that happens just prior or at some point in the day. You start to feel this energy build around this later point in time, and things and inspirations begin to stream in. And for me, it was around, I mean, it's such a buzzword, manifestation. It's something that we hear everywhere now and in many different contexts. And it's actually a very beautiful thing, because I think that it's also been an aspect of our life experience that seems to be connecting many different demographics of people. You hear people speak about manifestation that are perhaps not the type of people that we would think of as particularly spiritual types. Even it's kind of becoming a bit mainstream as well, which I love, because it's, for me, it seems it's becoming such a huge part of our conscious awareness that we want to live life in a more conscious way. The collective is wanting to become in some way deliberate about what we do, and that is a beautiful thing. For me, I think at a certain point, manifestation was something that fascinated me, for sure. I had the same calling. I want to live in a more deliberate way. I realized at a certain point that manifestation it's happening. It's always happening. In every moment, we're manifesting. Whether we are receiving the manifestations that reflect our true desires, or whether we are receiving the manifestations of things that are unwanted, either way, manifestation is happening in every moment. So for me, it began to feel like manifesting is less of a doing and more of a happening, and that the part that we need to attend to isn't in the doing, it's in where we are vibrationally at any point in time. And so this is where it feeds in very much to the notion and idea of self-mastery for me, and really feeling and knowing that life is always, it's working for us, that when whatever steps we take to clear our energy, to bring ourselves closer to the parts of ourselves that feel authentic and true, and the more we can step into that, the more we're being met by life in every moment. And I think it begins to feel much more about bringing awareness to it. For me, the key to this is awareness. Self-mastery for me is about awareness of ourselves in each moment, our energies in each moment, and working that muscle, as opposed to it being more of a kind of, I want to manifest this car tomorrow, you must do X, Y, and Z. It's more of a sitting back, trusting into, and this links back into what we were saying at the beginning of this, how for me it feels like there's a strong call to just trust. So I think that for me feels like a very key component here, for manifestation. It's and self-mastery. It's trust in life, trust in the unknown, and bringing awareness to each moment for me. And I think that's a nice place to kind of enter into conversation.
Yeah, it's beautiful to collect ingredients. I think that's a beautiful game to do together here. For me, what comes when I hear you speaking about self-awareness and manifestation and self-mastery, for me, it's always presence. That's for me the word behind it, because whatever, like, I became so good at manifestations of whatever I'm like calling in my life, it's somehow happening, sometimes different than I expect. Sometimes like I have this vision and something completely different happens and I'm like, oh, like sometime later I see like, oh, this is actually that manifestation. I just didn't recognize it like instantly. But whatever comes through is only the things that are in tune and aligned with my energy, with my being, with my presence. Like I can't manifest something that is not vibrating with me or that's not matching me. So I cannot manifest something that is like separate from me. I can only call in or open up or trust into or surrender to the things that are in my energetic field already. And sometimes, like you shared, these are the desired things, and sometimes it's the things that I'm afraid of or that I don't want to, like consciously. But if it's like in my field and I'm calling them with emotion, either good or bad, there is no judgment, right? Like it's just emotion and energy behind it, and that's calling in the things into my life. And it's always presence to not resist it and to go with the flow that's leading me there, to open up for it. So navigating from a place of presence and practicing that every day makes me feel like I'm closer to my desired manifestations and to consciously creating my life and self-mastering it. So tuning into the heart helps a lot with that for me.
Yeah, if I may link into that as well, I feel what I really resonate with also is that it's, to me, it's also about a certain humbleness towards life. So also as humans, I recognize it in myself, and I think we may all have it in parts of our lives where we think of ourselves as gods in a way as well, right? Like, oh, I'm going to manifest this, and you know, like I can create anything that I want. And I was tuning into this week, some things fell into place. Like it's always feels to me like always this dance of where becoming more and more aware of your inner power, which is truly, truly infinite, and the power that we hold to create our reality. Yet at the same time, remembering that there is something so much bigger at play that we will never understand with our minds. That's what guides us. And so I think they both go hand in hand, where yes, we step fuller into our power. We as we go on our journey of personal development, we grow more and more into our essence and who we are truly meant to be. And I believe that when we do that, all of us are meant to be big, you know, in our energy, in our essence from the heart. And yet it's from a place of humbleness and bowing to life, which is also like bowing to, as you say, like to whatever happens, whatever comes your way, knowing that it's also part of the journey. And how can you learn to see the medicine or the growth in each experience, and how how can that help you on your path, which then makes that whatever you go through becomes an ally, basically. And in that way, you're also self-mastering your reality. You are not deciding what's happening, but you are deciding on what you're doing with it and how you are using it for your growth, for your evolution. maybe to make a little link to the Egypt part of this as well, I feel that's what is really what I see very strongly in the ancient Egyptian culture, and what taught me by being in Egypt and by connecting to this ancient Egyptian culture, because they're the link to us humans, and like there they teach and they show you so much the link as humans and something much bigger than us. Like it was so much part of the reality there and of the daily life. And you see it all over the temple walls, of course, and all the gods and goddesses that were honored and were seen as like really part of their daily reality, which also makes you so humble and so like remembering where you come from, and at the same time knowing that there is so much we don't know. You really feel that when you walk there on these lands, and it's really a deep understanding of, not that we don't understand anything with our human minds. yeah
I really, everything Francis said for sure was the same experience for me. I think that you see how in ancient Egyptian culture, they really made a science out of self-mastery. It was for sure approached in a scientific, methodical way, and yet also understood from the sacred. They really did bridge this gap between exploring self-mastery and the energetics in a scientific, methodical way, and also understanding and practicing and embodying, not just taking an academic look at alchemy and the movements inside our energetic system. They practiced it. So it feels very much like all of those aspects are considered as part of ancient Egyptian teaching and the mystery schools. And the priests and priestesses were the full embodiment of all of those teachings, the ones that were bringing that through in a very embodied way, and then sharing that with others, sharing those teachings with, people from all walks of life actually would come through the temple spaces. It wasn't all saved for the nobles. It was shared in certain parts of the history. And I think some of the images that you see on the walls are just so clearly drawing you to move inwards with them. The symbology, it's almost, there is something in some of the images and the pictures that, if you stand and you just spend time looking at them and absorbing them, the energetic imprint, and how you're, and again bringing presence and awareness to how you feel when you're standing inside these temples and in front of these images. You can't help but feel this stirring inside yourself, that it teaches you something more about yourself in each moment. It's this relationship with the outer world in the inscriptions on the walls that then gives you something back and teaches you a little bit more. And I think that that's one of the really beautiful aspects of the ancient Egyptian teachings, is that they can be absorbed and taken in multiple ways. And so it reaches so many people. It reaches the people that have a more academic interest in the historic. It speaks to people that have a more energetic, symbolic appreciation, and it just seems to bridge the gap for so many in relation to, there is something for everybody in those teachings, and it can speak to so many of us. So I find it very rich in terms of its ability to teach us about ourselves and bring us to greater understanding of self-mastery in this way. It's very powerful place to be for so many reasons. And if, for me, the idea of exactly as Francis was speaking of there, that the recognition in relation to self-mastery and manifestation, and whether we're the ones actually in control of that process, or whether it's the ego wants to feel like it's in the driving seat and in control. But the two parts work in real union. It's recognizing those two parts of ourselves as essential parts of the whole, two sides of the same coin. We're not one, we're not the other, both, and they both work in union and unison for the purposes of bringing us into deeper awareness. And it always seems to come back for me to the very simple know thyself. I think there's so much wisdom in those words, just, and that constant process of unfolding, for which we need the egoic personality and all of its beauty, and all of its the humbleness, the grandiose. We need all aspects of our personality to guide us through, and that then for me feels like we are, as Francis was saying, always being met by life. Life is happening for us, not to us, really. And when it appears that we've taken perhaps a path we didn't wish to take, or we experience something that we don't want to experience, it's inevitable that we take something from that, whether cognitively or energetically. It will fundamentally move us into the direction of more of what we want to experience, more of our truth, more of our core essence, our soul's essence.
And so beautiful to hear you both sharing the truth, because I can feel already how just like speaking consciously about that topic is raising the vibration of our call, our circle, our like union here. It's like my heart started pumping really like deeply hearing you speaking now. So what comes through for me is what if like the whole intention of the ancient teaching is actually to bring us to self-mastery? What if that is like if there's such thing like a goal, but what if that is like the intention and the setup for sharing those teachings? Because we all know this theory of a God who, like, I think we all have heard it, like that God wanted to like express and creatively explore himself or herself, or however you want to call it, and us humans are like a conscious experience of the divine on earth. And if that is the truth, then the essence is to like, or the intention is to actually master ourselves by finding to our essence, which in my understanding is love. Like the essence of the whole universe, of every one of us, of humanity, is love. So, and love is a very conscious state, right? That's presence, like that is presence. So tuning into ourselves and awareness of all our aspects, of all our presentations or experiences, realizations, all of our levels and layers, that is the conscious self-mastery of exploring the love in the most beautiful ways which we can as humans. So like I was feeling that coming through with your words, and like, oh, it's so beautiful to see that and see that in the ancient teachings.
Wow. Well, thank you for reflecting that, Mary. I feel like you're hitting the nail. How do you say it? Like, yeah, it feels like that's the essence I feel of these teachings, and I feel you're also describing what I've been sensing in pretty much basically every temple, every sacred place that I went to in Egypt. Although they all have their own energy, their own essence. Of course, most temples are dedicated to a god or a goddess, and they all have their own essence. But yeah, and of course, like that's another interesting thing being there. Like realizing nobody will ever really know what they were sharing with all these hieroglyphs on the walls. And so in that sense, I mean, of course, there's so many people that have been studying so deeply into it and all that. So of course we know some things, but do we really know? Nobody was there, you know? So I felt also always when I was there that, first of all, there's always an invitation to connect to your own inner wisdom and to your own intuition when you're standing in these temples and looking at these walls and the symbols, and like, can you just close your eyes and feel what this space is doing or touching within your own being, or what is alive in yourself in that present moment? Or maybe you're going to the temple with a question that's something you feel blocked in, or with an intention, or and it's I felt it's always reflecting back something valuable for me in that specific moment. So if you can open yourself to these teachings, like they can, the same space in the temple or the same drawing on a wall can mean something different to me than to you. And then someone could say, yeah, I'm right and you're wrong. Or maybe it's just like bringing you to your truth and your inner knowing. And I feel like that's something that's, yeah, is really specific on these sacred lands. Like I've traveled many countries, and this has been something really like out of this world, like something I've never experienced before, the depth of what it brought me to within myself. And I honestly feel like that was the intention of what they left behind with all these teachings, and to actually always you come back to yourself and your inner truth. And like the depictions that you see on the walls, some are just so clear on how they are, you know, like truly like showing you how they're working with energy and doing energy work. You see depictions of like people working on each other with energy work, or hands-on healing, or how there's symbols for your own inner energy systems. All the teachings I feel are about going inside and getting to know yourself and becoming your own master. And this love that you just described, that you feel this vibration, you feel that's we are going, and is here now, is what I felt always in the temples as well. It's always this places of inner harmony and like a deep sense of belonging, of truth, clarity, love, like these really high vibrations. It's really, yeah, besides studying the teachings, experiencing them in this way is it's been truly life-changing. Yeah.
And what I find so mesmerizing is what you just described. Like, it's not like 5,000 years ago there's like some knowledge. It feels like there's all the wisdom, all the different things we are right now exploring again with yoga, Reiki, energy healing, like medicine in school, like all the different ways, like also Luisa shared, like from very rational to super intuitive, emotional. It's all there. It's like you can see it on the paintings in the temples, like they already had it and they already knew it and they already captured it in a way that it's 5,000, 6,000 years later, we can still feel it and see it and perceive it. It's like, that's totally blowing my mind. That's like, yeah, I don't want to say unbelievable, but you know what I'm feeling.
Yeah, there's something really strong in the vibration of all of that. Like it speaks very loudly to us, I think, on a very strong, you know, energetic level. It really is something very felt. And I think Egypt is not only the temple spaces, but also the land itself, for me, felt incredibly conducive to bringing even those that are not perhaps used to being aware of their own and others' energetic systems in that way. It felt very conducive to a lot of people starting to awaken to that. There's something as well in observing how the local people interact and work together, and there's something really beautiful actually in seeing how the communities there are work together. I noticed in moments of high tension, Ramadan, everybody's hungry because they haven't eaten all day, so tensions run a little bit high. But it's like there is this movement, and I think it's the energy of the land that does this. There are issues, like with all human interaction, there are things that come up, people being triggered, things to be resolved, but they come up and they come out very quickly, and they come to this really beautiful place and resolution usually at the end of them. And the way that the communities come together to support how the community move through issues and problems, and it's very guided, there's something very held about it. And I feel that is a similar energy to the energy that I find in the land, and the way you're held by the land, the vibration of the Nile that runs through Luxor and the mountains of the Valley of the Kings. There's something very energetically potent that I think is just very conducive to this as well. So you have like a double whammy. You've got the temple spaces that have been designed in a certain way, geometrically aligned, with all of the symbology running through them that takes you, they're like portals in and of themselves. And then you also have them positioned in certain energetic hotspots on the land itself, which I think the combination is a very powerful thing to experience. And even for, there were family members of mine that came to visit while we were out there, and we went to Dendera temple, which for me is like one of the most beautiful and energetically strong places. Definitely you feel the essence of that love that you speak of there. It's just it's in abundance. It's beautiful. And it was interesting to watch my non-spiritual family members and how they also experienced it. They didn't have the words to describe it in the way that we're perhaps discussing here today, but they all felt it on some level, and it was very interesting for me to observe that as well. So I think it really does, the land itself, the temples, they have just this vibration that shakes us out of distortion and brings us closer to feeling a purer part of ourselves. And for me, that's the word that you use. For me, it's love. It's the essence of who we are, and it feels like love, when you uncover all of those layers of ourselves. And for anyone that's had really good meditation sessions, or found themselves suddenly in the middle of a forest and feeling that real bliss starting to move through, that's your own natural essence, that's who you are underneath all of the layers. It's bliss, it's love. There's so yeah, it's very conducive. I think ancient Egyptian lands can really shake us up and out and back into our core essence, I suppose we could call it.
And I think one thing what we can learn from what you just described is the energy of the land holding, and the landscape like forming or providing actually the energetic imprint, and then the consciously designed pyramids who are on these remarkable landlines. They are not random, they are at the most powerful points in the country. And that co-creation reminds me to what you shared before about self-mastery. Like as if the land is the flow of life, and the consciously set pyramids and temples are the co-creation that follow the energy, but still set the intentions and create something that's utilizing that energy in the most potent way. And I believe that's what we can like learn from, only from the lands and from the energy from Egypt. If we do that with our life, that's exactly it. That's like self-mastery for me, like following the energetic blueprint or imprint I carry, and consciously with self-awareness and presence, utilizing it in the most potent way so I can create and set intentions, but not from like my ego or some desires or some ideas, but from what's actually there and bringing that out. That's like what I would say in my view is self-mastery to me, and that's what we can learn from the lands. Do you have more ideas how to utilize ancient Egypt for self-mastery? Because when I've been in your course, one of the things that incredibly powerfully and speedy brought me like a giant leap forward was the teachings of Thoth, and like the session you guided on, I think it was the library of Thoth and accessing it. Maybe you want to share some of these ideas or tools or anything that comes.
Nice to hear, by the way. That's, yeah, he came up in me as well before. I actually felt like maybe if we have a bit of time in the end, I would love to guide like maybe 5 minutes of a little meditation or tune in to integrate what we talked about and after the words that just came up now. But what helped for me was as they have all these gods that they offer, all these gods stand for something, you know, they represent something. For example, Thoth is like the god of wisdom and of writing and communication and magic. So by getting to know was at least some of the main ancient Egyptian gods, I feel now that I can, in a meditation, I can call them in, like I can connect to one of their energies, the one I feel that would be beneficial for me in that moment. And by the way, I feel like this is something anyone can do. I always feel from these presences, they like, we just need to ask, you know, like we just need to ask, and some space opens, and in a meditation, like I can just connect to, let's say, Thoth, and bring out my question or my concern or wherever I feel stuck in or want guidance on, and to just allow myself to open and to receive information in whatever way that comes. And again, this comes also back to knowing yourself and trusting your own inner wisdom and your intuition. So what comes through, what you hear or feel or sense, that you can trust it. So that's something that helps me a lot now, knowing these presences and knowing that, like, really truly feeling them with me as well, and being able to connect to them. So this is something that became quite present in my practices since Egypt. Maybe you want to add another one, Louisa.
Yeah, and I also want to just build on that you're saying, because I think that's really such an important way for us to embody the teachings. It is through these energetic presences, these energetic archetypes, and it's been a similar experience for me, and just had some very, very incredible downloads by tapping into these energies and asking for their support. It really is, it's such a beautiful thing for me as well. The energies I think that I've really connected with in Egypt were the primordial energies, the energies of you know, the building blocks of the fundamentals of life. We touched on this in the 4-week course, and we looked at what was known as the 8, the Ogdod, and I won't go into great detail now, but there are 8 principal energies that were later deified, but in pre-dynastic teachings they were really the fundamental ground level, if you like, in understanding the sacred teachings of the time. And it's very heavily linked in with Thoth. Thoth being the deity that was said to have invented the hieroglyphs. And what I love about Thoth is that there's this kind of, I mean, for me, Thoth is the one of the best representations for self-mastery that I find in the ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses. Thoth has he's the alchemist, he's the creator, he uses the primordial energies, and we would, like, as an example, these would be the energies of destruction and chaos, the energies of the seen and the unseen. So he speaks to us about mastering those energies within ourselves. They're like the building blocks of life and all of creation, and he, as the deity, uses those to adjust and create according to his will. And so I find him a very interesting representation for self-mastery, and he supports us in rewriting our stories. The idea that Thoth is the master writer of his own story, I think, is something that we can all take some wisdom from, that the narratives that we choose to work with within ourselves, we have the opportunity in each moment to reframe those and to find a different expression for those. We can rewrite our stories, and we can tap into that deeper wisdom within and let Thoth guide you. And that meditation that Francis led in the 4-week course was just so incredibly powerful. So, I mean, again, I've got the goosebumps now just thinking about it. And it really, again, I think the key being any of these deities or energies that when you choose to invite them in and you open the space up for them, they're so ready to meet you. These are aspects of our own energy system, our own being, that want to step forward to support us in our journey. And when you open the door to that, and it can be so simply done, it doesn't need to be, it can just be a simple closing of the eyes and asking that those energies be with you. And recently for me, Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess, has been very present, and she's been teaching me a lot about strength and vulnerability, actually, the two sides of the same coin. And so she's been so present with me and walking me through some really tricky moments. I had another meditation recently, and I think the more you do this, the more spontaneous it becomes as well. You will just find that some of these energies just move in, and you're like, oh, hello, there you are. Like, almost like you didn't know that you were calling them, but because you've set the relationship up, they will just appear. And I had a meditation recently, for example, where Horus stepped in, and he gave me his eye. He put his eye, the third, you see the Egyptian symbols for the eyes of Horus. He placed them over my eyes and one on the third eye, and he said, okay, through my eyes you can see. And I had this incredible experience whilst in this meditative state, where I just was suddenly able to see things about a situation and myself, ultimately, that I hadn't been able to see before. It was incredibly powerful. So yeah, it's an invitation just to invite these energies in and work with them in a way that works for you. I think we need to emphasize that as well. It's not a one size fits all. It's a, how do you want to work with these energies? And just, it can be very individual. Our paths are not going to look the same. Francis and I trod the same ground in Egypt. We went to the same temples, and yet there are differences in that. There are places that it converges, and yet our stories are all so different. We have a different path in many respects, and then, you know, sometimes that comes and convert, and at the moment we're very much in unison with a lot of things, but everybody's journey is different. It's not going to look the same. So just an allowing of that to unfold in the way that it wants to, and the way that it wants to work with you, and pay no attention to how, well, for this person it looks like that. We can let go of that idea and just let it be for us what it wants to be for us.
Yes, powerful sharing. Wow, that Horus view, that's incredible. So beautiful. I'm totally want to try it out and get that. But incredible sharing. And yes, Pascal, I think Luisa shared about segments, but also about different deities or energies.
Yes.
Francis, you want to say something to that?
Yeah, I wanted to answer. Wasn't sure if you saw the question, but yes, that's one of the things that Luisa was mentioning, Pascal, segments. And in the course that we gave, where Mary was as well, we went through 4 sessions, and in each session we connected to some of the gods and goddesses from ancient Egyptian culture, and also the Ogdoads, the primordial energies that Luisa spoke about, which is very deep.
Is again something felt beyond words. So the conscious container and moving through these, and like what you shared, like connecting with those Isis and Hathor and Sekhmet, the primordial energies, Thoth and Amenti, and like all the different aspects, you guided it through those meditations and through these embodiment of these energies or deities or however you want to call it. It's been such a potent container, and I experienced just in the 4-week series immense shifts in all areas of my life. Like relationship wise, there has been a huge shift. Like I reconnected with my father, and I haven't touched a word with him like for 10 years. And financially, I had a question to toss, and just now I met like one of the investors for my projects, which is like one of the questions I asked him was like how I can rewrite this financial flow, and it's just like it's still having an effect even though the container is over. So I think you have the replays available for everybody who wants to experience that. Like we can all tune in and ask questions, but your guidance is something I am incredibly grateful for. So everybody who wants to experience it, I can highly recommend you to get access to the 4 weeks course and go through that beautiful journey. I don't know, maybe you want to share how people can access it, or how it's available.
Yes, thank you so much. It fills my heart so much to hear you say this, and having spoken to yourself and others that gave us feedback from the 4 weeks. Yeah, the impact of the 4-week container, it really blew my mind, not only for the participants but for myself, because we also went through these energetic shifts and processes within that time, and so it was incredibly powerful, I think, for all of us. And yeah, it's really beautiful to hear it shared that way, because it's always felt for Francis and I that this is something that reaches, it's been created through us in a way that's not, we haven't, it felt like something we weren't really doing. The energies spoke and they requested to be laid out in this way, and we were just dutifully it's again linking back into what we were saying just briefly, it's this allowing things to happen and unfold and trusting in that process that led us to the creation of it. So to hear that it impacted it's a really beautiful thing to access the course, we would invite people to, I think the best way, Francis, correct me if I'm wrong, but the best way I think for accessing would be to for us to provide our address, or to collect the email addresses of those people that would be interested in that, and we can forward an email with details. It will be sent to people in an email, so it will contain all of the 4 lessons, all of the 4 workshops that we provided, which were originally on a weekly basis, but it will be provided all together for people to work through at their own pace, as well as any additional material and recordings, meditation recordings that we also provided along with that. We also have a Facebook group that those that do the course will be invited into in order to share, where if they have questions we can address those, and we're always available for people as well via email at any point during their process. So that would probably be the best way, I think, to access the course. That if anybody's interested, we'll leave within the group Mary's container information on how to email us, but I'll give the email address as well now. It's support@amentirebirthretreat.com for anybody that wants to.
I will type it in the chat as well, because I think that's easier.
Thank you. I always forget the chat option.
Awesome. And then, I mean, the course is like, it's a beautiful magical container, and I think self-studying it is like a quantum leap included. But then like feeling into, I mean, you've been there, I haven't been there yet, but feeling into how massively impactful it will be to actually be on the lands in a container, like your beautiful retreat. That's then, I think, the next level of it. Like, it's one level to experience it and receive the energies, and it is already working so intensely. But then in 3D, with our bodies vibrating with the field on the lands, I think that is another layer that's then experienced on the actual retreat. So I'm happy if you want to share the second option to join the retreat also.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It adds deeply to the experience, creates it next level, to be there on the lands. And although I'm always amazed how much we can transmit as well, and with the online work, like you say, the container, I was really amazed on how powerful the container was as well. Yes, but definitely, like, putting your feet on the lands there is just doing something deeply within your whole being as well. So if that's I feel like Egypt is a place that truly calls you, and I hear everybody who I've met there and who I speak also who hasn't been there yet but feels the call. It's really like it's really calling, I feel, at some point. And so yeah, definitely if that call is there, definitely it's something I feel you can trust, and that it's calling you for a reason that you probably cannot see yet why, but you will leave it there. And what Louise and I both, I think I can speak for both of us, like we've experienced what it does to your whole being while you're there, like Louisa described before. The powers of these sacred lands are just incredible. It's something I've really traveled a lot the last 10 years, but it's something I haven't felt anywhere else. I don't say I've seen the whole world, so I don't know, but it's just really unique. And we felt like we wanted to create an experience for people to experience this magic that truly we can like put it in words now. And I feel like it's still just scratching the surface, and it's once you're there, you're going to have your own complete unique experience, because it brings you exactly what you need in that moment. But we wanted to create a container where you get to experience that, but also in a way that you know, like you're going in a container together in a group, so it's both experiencing the lands and the energies of the lands and the sacred sites and the temples, as well as making a deep internal journey. So through the container, through the practices that we will offer, the meditations, the embodiment practices, in this case, the feminine embodiment practices, because it's a women's retreat this time. We will do mixed groups as well. Ceremonies, and one of the highlights, a night, a vision quest night in the desert as well, on a full moon night, which just happened to be on that night. So we wanted to create a very complete experience, and still have the container in the safety as well, because I felt really safe in Egypt, but I know it's also really strong energy, so it can bring up a lot, and it's also a very, very different culture than what we mostly know here. So I was really grateful for my previous travel experiences, and as again, I haven't felt unsafe, but I know, and I've seen also felt inside myself, and I know it can be sometimes a bit unsettling because it brings up a lot, and the energies of the lands and the different cultures, it's a lot to navigate. So and I've been there a few months, so I had the time to stay and to get used to it. But if you're there for, you know, a bit shorter visit, we felt like, okay, let's create a container where this depth can be experienced, but that we are also there to guide you also in these parts where it's like, okay, how do you deal with the culture, and you know, like to make it easier and smoother. So we combine the experience of the sacred lands by visiting the sites, by going to the desert, by connecting to the Nile, by the way, because the villa where we're staying is minutes walk from the Nile, which actually we haven't spoken yet about, but is completely mind-blowing to me as well, the Nile. The first time I saw her, to me it feels like a her. I cried. It was like it's something beyond words as well. I don't know. So yeah, we have this amazing Arabic style villa where we will stay. It's a beautiful, beautiful villa with a beautiful lush garden and pool and terrace that looks over the Nile, and we will see all these beautiful sacred temples, and we will do the inner work. So also to integrate and to really use these potent energies to truly land in this self-mastery. And Pascal is asking also to the desert. Yes, we do also one night in the desert. Yeah. And it will be like a vision quest. So you go with a question or an intention, and you go in silence inside yourself and in the desert on the full moon. Nice. Yeah. Wow, so exciting. I can't wait.
Goosebumps all over.
Yeah,
did I forget something, Louisa?
That the beautiful vision quest is followed the following morning by one of the well, I guess this is the centerpiece ceremony of the whole retreat, because we'll be rebirthing in a very, very special place in the valley. It's the valley of the mountain of the Valley of the Kings. In another side there's another valley, and there's this incredible cave that is shaped like a yoni in the most incredible way. Like you see all the layers of the yoni from the external to the internal. And so we'll be taking the group after that for a special rebirthing ceremony the night after the vision quest as well. So it just brings it to a full, complete, beautiful space. We're incredibly excited about this, and I think Francis and I are really starting to feel the energies of the land in this last few days, like opening up to embrace us and welcome us. Like it feels like a welcoming back home. It's again the goosebumps. Just, whew, it's incredibly beautiful, and yeah, we're very excited about it. But otherwise, I think you covered everything beautifully, Francis. Thank you.
It sounds so amazing. So beautiful and so magical and so powerful. The the grounding facts, not the hard ones, the grounding ones. When is it, or how can people find it? Like if they want to
Yes.
join you.
Yeah, so the online course, you can just send us an email. The retreat is from 31 October until 10 November. So it's 10 days. Also, we chose for this to allow us to really go deep. So we'll have 10 days, 31 October until 10 November. And it's in Luxor in Egypt. So as said, we decided to have one place, our home base, our villa, and from there we will visit sites and go around, but also to have a ground, like a root place where we, like a safe base. And I will write the website in the chat as well, but it's www.amentirebirthretreat.com. And maybe we'll also post it in the group. So there you can find all the information, and all your questions can be answered there, and the room types that you can choose, and pictures, and all of this. And of course, if you have more questions, we are here. And we decided to offer a special offer for the ones that are hearing this call, for both, actually, for both our offers. So we have the online course, that's the 4-week course that you will be sent, and you can do it on your own pace, including extra meditations, recorded meditations and practices, and workbook, which we decided to offer for 88 pounds. So this is English pounds, and the normal price is 111 pounds. So this is an offer for the course. And also for the retreat, we decided for the ones of this call to offer a discount of 111 pounds as well. So this discount is valid for the coming 5 days. So if you decide for the coming 5 days, okay, I'm feeling this, I want to be part of this, I want to experience this magic of Egypt, this discount is valid for the next 5 days. So until, what date is it then?
Yeah, I was also just checking.
Friday, 16 September. Yes. And of course, if you feel like you want to have a chat with us about it to get a bit more clarity, then you can send us a message and we can schedule a call. Yes. Yeah.
And it's like I can only feedback what I'm sensing, but there's so many beautiful retreats out there in the world. But this one to me felt so supportive and so nourishing and so like holding me energetically, that I felt like just a space where I can completely surrender and open up, like the full feminine energy, because you bring so much loving, supporting, holding, protecting, nourishing, grounding, opening energy with it. So that intention and that container is so well guided and designed that it makes it feel very special, very unique to me. And yeah, I'm sure to everyone who's joining.
Thank you so much, Mary. And I just want to add to that, actually, because we haven't really mentioned perhaps one of the most holding energies and one of the goddesses that we're working with, whose name is the name of the retreat, the Amenti Rebirth Retreat. So the halls of Amenti are that you can look at them as a representation of the mind, the psyche, where we travel to uncover aspects of ourselves that are ready to be released, to uncover more of our truth, more of our authentic being. And the goddess Amentet, she's the goddess of the West, and she is actually positioned very strongly that her devotional following was in Luxor, which was once named ancient Thebes. She is the goddess that holds us and nourishes us as we take that deep dive into the halls of Amenti, into those parts of ourself that we want to go to take a look at, to see what needs to change, what needs to move. And so she nourishes us and she holds us in that way. So the holding energy that you're feeling, Mary, some of that is hers. And although she doesn't ever ask, she's also the unseen, and she doesn't ask to be seen. So I find it quite interesting that we didn't mention her until this point in the end, but I do want to just bring a little bit of light to her, because that's the energy that I think, as well as my own and Francis and what we bring and what comes through us, but she is very much that energy that is coming through us to support and hold the retreat. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I don't know how you're feeling. I felt like I could guide a few minutes of short meditation to let all the words settle. Is it something that you would like to receive? You want to just allow the words to go down? And
Beautiful.
okay. Is there anything else before we go into that space that needs to be shared, or questions, or? All right. All right, so I invite you to make yourself comfortable if you were not yet. Pascal looks very comfortable. Yes. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes. Just allowing your awareness to drop with every breath a bit deeper into your body. Maybe sighing out a few times to really allow your body to become more soft, more heavy, sink into the surface underneath you. Maybe if there's some last movements or stretches or anything your body needs to allow the words to drop, allow the headspace to become more and more quiet again. Welcoming yourself into this present moment with your awareness. And maybe becoming present of where all this information is landing inside of your body. And what parts of this information are landing inside of your body. What you're taking with you from this time together. What wisdom spoke to you. And I gently invite you to allow your presence to land into your heart space. Just breathing into your heart a few times. Like you yourself are landing fully inside of your heart. And from that heart space, I invite you to visualize how that heart space opens. And as it opens, you start to become aware how it's opening towards these energies of ancient Egypt. All these energies that we've just spoken about, that you've received information from. And just allowing your being to open itself towards it. Even if you don't know much about it, If you haven't been there, doesn't matter. Just setting the intention to open towards it is the only thing needed. And you start to draw in all this sacredness, ancient wisdom, symbols, and knowing that goes beyond your mind, beyond your human. And you simply draw it in through your heart. Knowing that this is the purest form of wisdom that can come through, the purest information. Whatever is coming through you is from the origins of it all. And visualize how this wisdom, this pure, crystalline consciousness information is entering your body and filling your whole being. You don't need to understand it. Just allow it to enter your being and fulfilling, regenerating, enriching every cell. Allow it to fill your whole being. Maybe it's a knowing, maybe it's sensations, maybe it's symbols. Just allow yourself to receive this pure wisdom. And as you are standing here open, fully open to receive, in front of you appears an ancient Egyptian being. And just allow it to appear in front of you. Maybe you know it, maybe not. Maybe it's just a sense. Maybe it's a first meeting. And this ancient Egyptian being can have any form. As soon as you are connecting, you know this is a pure connection from heart to heart. And this being is here to bring you a message on a subject that you would like to land even deeper into self-mastery. Any subject that is present in your life right now, of which you would like to become even more a self-master. This being hands you a message into your hands. With open hands, you receive. Knowing that this is a transmission, even if your mind doesn't understand the message yet, know it is being received on a deeper level of your being. And when you receive this message in your hands, you place it somewhere on your body where you feel it is right, where you feel it belongs, where it can be integrated. And if it helps, you can place your hands on this part of your body. And you breathe it in there a few times deeply. Then in your time and in your own way, you thank this ancient Egyptian presence that was here for this message. You thank each other, knowing that you can always connect back. You can always open yourself to these energies, these presences, and to its teachings. And then gently returning back into your heart. And from your heart back into your body, in this time and space, in this room where you are right now. Maybe you start to move your body a bit again. Stretching or breathing a bit deeper. And taking whatever came with you. And knowing also if you didn't understand or get any clear pictures or anything, know that just also opening to this field of deep and pure awareness is bringing in information that goes beyond our human understanding. But I do hope you take something away from it. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Francis. That was really, really beautiful.
Pleasure. Yes.
Thank you.
Wanted to come through. I'm just typing our website in the chat just for you to see it. And then for the people in the replay, we will post it in the group. And you can always contact us in Facebook or at support@amentirebirthretreat.com. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Francis. Thank you,
Yes.
Luisa.
Yes.
So
You're welcome.
beautiful.
Yes, drink lots of tea or water, and maybe you just wish to stay in this energy. And yeah, if you have any questions, please find us. And remember, if you want to join us or do the course, the discount is valid for the next 6 days until the 16th of September.